hadith, I'll give him a month, and I dare him to memorize it with its chain. I dare him. 700,000 hadith, I pulled out of it this Sahih Al Bukhari. And he said, you know what? I could have pulled out more authentic, but I want it to be summarized. I wanted it to be summarized. 700,000 hadith, he collects this pure, authentic book. This is the second book, according to the great vast majority of the ummah. This is the second book after the Qur'an in its authenticity. Some scholars of Morocco dispute and say Sahih Muslim is above Sahih Al Bukhari, but there are only a few. The great vast majority of the ummah believe Sahih Al Bukhari comes second in hand of the authenticity of the, out of all these centuries after Bukhari, only scholars were able to talk about one or two. Talk, and probably the right hood is with Al Bukhari. Talk, just two hadith that may have some problem. May. And probably the truth is with Al Bukhari. He wrote this book. How many hadith are in this book? Anyone want to give me a rough?
7,000.
7,000, how much? You're close.
Exact number?
I need exact number. We don't deal here with rough figures.
7,040?
No. 7,500, and I'm glad you guys are writing this so you can memorize it, because this you don't see in English books. Most of you only speak English, and I'm glad you guys are writing this so you can memorize it. 7,563 hadith. 5,063 hadith is in Bukhari. You know what he said about those? He said that every time he put a hadith in Sahih Al Bukhari, he'd go and take a bath and pray 2 rak'ah salat al-istikhara, and then make a decision whether to put it in or not. Every hadith. Did he take 7,563 showers just for Sahih Bukhari? 7,563 for istikhara? I say he probably took triple that number for Sahih Bukhari. Why? Because when he originally wrote it, but he used to wake up, as you're going to see in a minute, and say, let me change this hadith to this hadith. This is more authentic than this one. And he make istikhara again. And we probably make istikhara maybe once or twice. Most of the brothers never make it except when they want to get married. That's all. And that's it. And that's the only time brothers get married. Brother, how do you do istikhara? Oh, are you going to get married? That's what I tell him. You're going to get married? Of course he's going to get married as soon as he's going to do istikhara. This man did it 7,563 times. Sahih Al Bukhari, without the numbers repeated in it, is 2,550 hadith. Without the repetition. The hadith may be repeated with a sentence, in a different format than another, or a word taken out from the other. So without the repetition in Sahih Al Bukhari, there's 2,550 hadith. Imagine that. This, of course, is one of his 100 famous books that he wrote. This is one out of 100. The most popular book, the book we know about him. He wrote this book, he says, when I was a young boy, teenager, I used to sit next to the Prophet ﷺ's grave and sit and write Tarikh al-Kabir and then Sahih al-Bukhari. And he goes, my memory goes back to the days where I went to one sheikh one time and I sat there. And he's over there sitting, and probably the feather he's holding is taller than him. He was a little young boy there. He said, and everyone looked at me and they smiled. This young boy coming in our halaqah and sitting. That's how you raise your kids. This is how you raise your kids. This is how we were supposed to raise. If your parents made a mistake in raising you, this is how you gotta get it. You don't let them. Our legends are not those NBA. Our legends are not the presidents and leaders of the. Our youth today. What do you want to be? I want to be the president of this country. That's filth. That's disgusting. That's not what you should be. Your leadership is like these heroes that we're talking about. You gotta be raising your kids. If your parents made a mistake, catch up on yourself. If you can't catch up on yourself, learn this lesson for your children. He said, when I was a young boy, and the sheikh wanted to ask him, he said to encourage him. We have some, we had a brother, what's his name? That young boy, he wrote, he took the tapes that we have over here, and he's writing them word by word. What's his name? Man, how old is he? 10. He's writing them word for word. If they stay like this, youth and kids like this, they're going to have a future, like Al-Bukhari. Yeah? He's writing Salah ad-Din Ayyubi's life word for word from our tapes. What do you think? This is good. Stick in mind. But youth who only know the singers and the actors, that's the only thing they're going to be on, and they're going to be failures. They're not going to be able to do that. Allah is going to destroy them in this life because of that kind of thinking, and in the life after. He said, the sheikh asked me, what are you writing? How many did you write? The sheikhs back then used to say hadith by chain, and people sit and write. And he said, 2. young boy. Everyone started laughing at him. 2, he's supposed to say اثنين. He said اثنتين. He said he meant 2 hadith. And he said, I meant 2 hadith. But he said 2. I mean, it's close. But the way he said it, in the circumstance, and how young he was, everyone started laughing. The Shaykh said, no. Don't laugh at him. There's going to be a day when this kid laughs at you guys. And indeed, it wasn't but a few months, not a few days, months, count by months, when this man made fun of them. See how precise he was? It was precise to the point, Sahih Al Bukhari took from him 16 years. You know what 16 years of doing? 16 years of writing it? No, 16 years to the point one of his students said, I slept in his house one time. He wakes up at night, every night, 18 times. He said, a minimum 18 times. He wakes up, he turns on the light, kerosene or wherever they had then. He writes something or scribbles out something, puts his head back to sleep. When he's praying at night, he probably sleeps a few hours at the end of the night to get some rest. He's praying all night long. This is a abid, these are worshippers. These are not just people who focus on knowledge. These are worshippers who cried and begged and made dua for the sake of Allah. So what did he do? He gets up, corrects this mistake, fixes this one, makes a note, replaces hadith by... That's why Sahih Al Bukhari, Wallah Al-Azim, just not the hadith in it, just the titles he put for the hadith, that's a knowledge in itself. You see some of those who wrote, Ibn Hajar, who wrote about Sahih Bukhari, he wrote about a 9 volume, if I'm not mistaken. Wallahi, this book, every time I go back to research an issue in this book, wallah, I don't think a single time. Every time I go, I want a certain thing, certain issue, about some fiqh issue. Wallahi, I can't get enough. I go read it, and the time takes me and I'm reading something else. And sometimes he goes on for pages, talking about a hadith, about bab so-and-so. Bab, why Bukhari called it bab so-and-so. And he pulls you 2 or 3 more pages on just why Bukhari called it this. Bab, that you don't call the dead person a martyr. That you don't call a dead person a martyr. And he sits and talks about it and why you shouldn't call him a martyr. This is before he gets to the hadith under it. This is just before he gets to the hadith. That shows you. He get up, one of his colleagues said, I traveled with him on a journey. We went several nights. Every night I counted, he gets up at night 15 to 25 times, gets up, no light, writes, because they're on a journey, writes something, scribbles something, and goes back to sleep, gets up at night. 15 to 25 times a night on average. Today, I say, our youth get up 15 to 25, not more, but it's because they're worried about a loved one that they lost, a girl they love, or a car they want, or a mansion they want, or an interview that they lost. Yeah, but look at the goals, different goals. He was sincere for Allah, he protected the hadith, Allah protected him. He used to say, I never took a hadith from any scholar, except I asked where he's from, and how, with the date of his birth, and that every single man in the chains of my hadith, I know the history of every single man in that chain. He knows when he was born, who is scholars, by heart, by his mind. This is not something, too hard to do. When we fear Allah, we can have it. Contemporary scholars today know this, just like they know their parents. Shaykh Muqbil, rahimahullah, if you guys know him, he's a contemporary Shaykh in Yemen. He just died recently, about two years ago. When he came to California to get treatment because he had cancer, I went and stayed with him approximately a week in his apartment. He was the only big scholar I didn't meet. So I said it's an opportunity to go meet him. He came to America, subhanallah, the only one I didn't meet. We have to go. I went and met him, and he sits there, and we're sitting. He's in agony. He has cancer. The doctors say you got a few months to die, and we got to give you a transplant. And the government was after him. You can't stay in this country, and the whole world is against it. And he sits there with a smiling face. Muhammad ibn Sirin, who is he? When did he die? And he sits and asks you about the chains of the hadith, the names. He pulls them out. When was he born? When did he die? Tell me a little bit about his life. Every single man. And then one of his students, I said, he's always like this? He said he's always like this. He said he knows this hadith, the men of the hadith, more than he knows his own tribe. He has a big tribe in Yemen, Wadi', in Yemen. What town is he from? Yeah, but what town is he from? Sa'da. He's from Sa'da. He said he has a big tribe. He said, wallahi, he knows the tribe. He knows the men in the hadith more than he knows his tribe, his own tribe, his close relatives and his own tribe. Yeah, this is a contemporary scholar. You know how he died? He used to pass in and out. They took him to another country, and then he made Hajj, and he used to pass back in and out. He died. Every time he wakes up, did I pray? and he passes, this name, give me this name. When was he born? When he died? Tell me something about his life. Is he good, reputable or not? This is how he died. This was on his deathbed. He couldn't come on the judgment day saying, you know, when I asked him one time, I can't remember what I discussed with him, and I told him, why you always do that? He said, this makes me feel so good. When I know about these men and their life, it makes me feel so good. No matter what problem I have, my mind escapes with this. That's why I always do that. And it's true. You know, he had a problem or something, he's sitting discussing.